So the goal is this. I'm going to hit little shots and try to get my divot up ahead of that ball. Okay, so here it is. And these little sticks are going to help me figure that out. So here's the situation. We teed off, we're playing a par 4 or a par 5 hole. We hit a great tee shot in the fairway. We're in the fairway. We've got an easy shot into the green, 150 yards or so, and watch what happens. Chunked it. It's so frustrating when we do finally get a good shot in the fairway only to have that horrible chunked shot or topped shot. Just lack of solid contact can just drive you absolutely crazy. So let's talk about what's happening as well as what we can do to help correct this. So you will notice that the shot that I just hit, my ball was positioned right about here, and what happened was I hit the ground before I hit the ball. You'll notice when you watch the tour players on television and they're hitting iron shots from the fairway, when they're hitting especially shorter iron shots into a green, they're hitting the ball and then they're hitting the ground. And a lot of people don't actually realize that they're hitting the ball first and then they're making contact with the ground, making the divot. And that actually does make sense that if you want to hit the ball solidly, we want to hit the ball first. So let's look at what's happening. When somebody hits a shot that is a chunked shot, they're going to make their golf swing, and of course somewhere down here there's going to be a low end of the swing, right? So the low end of the swing, if the low end of the swing is behind the ball, on this side of the ball, we're going to hit the ground and then the ball. Or if we don't hit the ground at all and the club bottoms out behind the ball, we're going to hit the ball on the way up, and then we'll hit that kind of a thin shot where you make contact like in the middle of the ball up here or really on the top of the ball. So actually, when we have trouble on the golf course and we're hitting a fat shot, a chunk, or a thin shot, or a topped shot, all of those shots, they're really the same problem. And the problem is that we're bottoming out our golf swing on the wrong side of the ball. What we really want to do is we want to make contact with the ball and then the turf, which means, I'll move this ball out of the way so you can see, we want to have our low end of our swing take place after we make contact with the ball. So we need to see divots way up ahead of the ball in practice. Now you'll notice as I'm practicing this, I'm achieving that whole idea about make your divot ahead of the ball. So hey, wouldn't that be easy if I just said to you, okay, make your divot ahead of the ball and you're going to hit great shots? Wouldn't that be great? Super easy. The trouble is we have to practice some skills usually to pull this off. So even when people start to understand that they need the divot to take place ahead of the ball, boy, what happens is they still end up hitting those chunked shots and those thin shots. And the reason is that conceptually, they feel like they need to lift the ball up in the air. And if we're trying to lift an object up in the air, intuitively, we're going to try to get under it to lift it. So notice how as I'm doing this, if you can see that the club head is passing the handle. Okay, so this is the wrong way to make contact. We want to have the handle lead the club head, and that's going to help us hit the ball and then come down and hit the turf. So when you look at your mid-handicap or your high-handicap golfer, and we show them on slow motion video, what we usually see is them when they're making contact with the ball, that club head passes their hands and they get this little scoop type of a move. And we usually see them do this with weight evenly distributed on their feet or even weight a little bit on their back foot. When we see really good players make really good contact, what we're going to see is a couple things. One is we're going to see the handle of the club leading the club head into impact. And you'll notice that in order to help me do this, it's actually fairly intuitive from this point to start moving weight onto my front foot. So what we want to do is we want to try to achieve an impact position with hands forward, weight forward. So that leads us into a great training aid that we can use called an impact bag. I'm going to grab one right here. Okay, so this is an impact bag. Well, you can get these on Amazon.com. You can get them at a local golf shop, anywhere from $20 to $50. It's a great, great device. And here's the idea. Now that we've got this bag on the ground, we're not trying to lift anything up in the air. We're just trying to make good, solid contact with this bag. One little tip here is, when we get this bag, position the middle of the bag, like the leading edge, right about in the middle of our stance, about where our ball would be. We want to set up with the club a few inches off the ground. We don't want to set up with the club down here, because then it gets kind of confusing how things are working. So we're going to set up here. It really does work the same as if we're putting it on the ground, but we can see what's happening better. And what I want to do is I want to think about the shaft here hitting the bag, not so much the club face. So if I get that shaft to hit the bag first, see how those hands lead that club head? But if I get the club head to lead, then I'm going to have that scoopy type of a move. I have the club face hit first. So here we go. Nice and easy at first. Turning shoulders back, turn through. I'm not even really swinging the club. I'm just moving onto my front side. Believe it or not, I explain how this impact bag works a lot to people. And if I'm not there to kind of help them place the shaft on the bag, they tend to go really too fast. So take your time with this. Just set up with the club in the middle of the bag, back, now a little more swing, and through. What's happening here is I am swinging the club because I'm turning my hips and shoulders back, turning my hips and shoulders through. We don't see this type of an action. It should start to be making sense that if we have our hands really active in our swing, that's going to give us that scoop type of a move. Notice weight is not moving onto my front foot. So we want to go ahead and get nice quiet hands, turn through, weight forward, hands forward, club handle leads the club head into the ball. Let's take a look. We're going to try hitting a shot now. Okay, so there's my ball. Okay, so that was solid. So my ball was positioned right about here, ball and then turf. So if we can get the low end of that swing ahead of the ball, that's really going to make an unbelievable difference in our solid contact. So we're going to be able to much more accurately hit the green, get the ball in the green, lower our scores, and have a lot more fun at this game of golf. We'd love to know if you found this video helpful, so please be sure to leave comments and feedback right below the video.